las cosas dan más dinero, van a optar para esto. Y eso está pasando en la zona alta, en el Pilcomayo, con los pescados allá. La minería bota todas sus cosas al río, al Pilcomayo. Y abajo viven los Benayek, los indígenas Benayek, que también se llaman Mataco. Y en la zona de Villamuns ya no tienen pescado. Entonces un pueblo que solamente vive del pescado, eliminado.
The problem in the past, from the early 1900s, when the first exploration of hydrocarbons and oil and natural gas happened, is that the contracts that were negotiated with these multinational firms were just terrible and really went against national interests. If the government can be credited with something, it's for having negotiated better deals.
I mean, the government is strongly committed to developing the country as such. Bolivia is a country where there's a large percentage of poor people, strong inequalities, lack of infrastructure. There is a strong commitment of the government to face this situation, and they've been relatively successful in reducing it during the last 5 years.
The country's going through a very good moment. The trade deficit is lower and lower. In fact, actually, we're running a trade surplus because we export a lot of hydrocarbons, a lot of minerals. Levels of income inequality have gone down, largely through the government's redistributive policies. There have been very important advances, for example, in the minimum wage, which has gone up from 400 bolivianos to 12 to 1400 bolivianos, right? So that's a threefold increase. There are still very rich landowners, especially in the southeast of the country. A lot of wealth and private companies still concentrated in the hands of a few individuals. But the government at least is working on that.
Hasta la fecha no hay desarrollo sostenible y no existe. Hasta la fecha hay sacar lo máximo que puedes sacar, y después de nosotros el diluvio.
There's this idea that we've become un estado extractivista, an extractivist economy that just lives off the single export. One big challenge this government has is to generate productive capabilities within the country. Some people think the gas reserves will last for about 40 years. What do we do after that? A responsible administration would continue investing in alternative sources of wealth.
In the government, this line of traditional development is against this other line, which is trying to start this discussion. We have been a very traditional environmental law, and now the discussion of the Mother Earth law, which are supposed to have a more integral approach. There's been a lot of discussion about that law because it's giving rights to Mother Earth. And this other interesting thing that is going on is only a discussion. It doesn't take any part on the real decision in the country.
La economía actual en lo macro se rige por los conceptos de ganancia.
Tiene un presidente bocalero que no tiene la visión de los pueblos indígenas. Tú para sembrar coca tienes que derribar la selva, los árboles. Él no puede convivir con la naturaleza. Por eso es que quiere destruir.
There are many ways of doing that road that will make it less damaging for the environment and not to have to go through the heart of an indigenous territory.
Los administradores de este estado, y particularmente el gobierno de Evo Morales Ayma, sus ministros, junto con la policía boliviana y el ejército boliviano, han ultrajado nuestros derechos, han puesto, como se dice, nuestra propia constitución, lo han botado a los basureros y se han olvidado de las garantías constitucionales y de los tratados, convenios internacionales que nos protegen.
If we allow that forest to go, then we're going to lose a lot of money, a lot of potential resources coming, and investment, and maybe we should think twice and if we can do things better. So, well, maybe good things can come from that, understanding that, forests are more valuable, standing than tables, for example.
Alrededor del Salar de Uyuni existe una característica única, especial, que se ha dado para producir la quinoa. Miles y miles de productores que están dedicados a la producción de quinoa. Es el sustento de las familias, prácticamente es la vida misma, ¿no? De la quinoa pues gana importancia social, económica, mientras el proyecto litio tiene una significación industrial para el país solamente.
Things have changed since. We can see a new kind of market for lithium.
Bolivia is going to produce lithium. The technologies for the industrialization of the uses of lithium are just going to be implemented by whatever country has the technology to do that. We are going to be producers of materia prima. And they have decided to implement the technologies that are being implemented in Chile right now.
The problem with the Chilean operations, they require a lot of water. The lithium brines are very complex, difficult to extract and refine.
The amount of slime that the Chile salt lakes need is very small in comparison to what is going to be needed in Bolivia. You need a lot of slime to get rid of the magnesium. 1,000 tons of liquid slime is going to produce 4,000 tons of waste a day. At the beginning of the project, the development of an experimental research that was trying to get rid of the technological problems of earlier technologies. The amount of slime that would be used by the end of the process in this other technology is extremely smaller in comparison to what's being used by applying the Chilean technique. That technological alternative has been cancelled. The Bolivian government wants lithium to be produced soon. An alternative technological process might take much longer. They needed to do more experimenting, no?
We should look for other methods of production. And what the Koreans have done is perhaps something to consider. We're able to develop technology to obtain lithium cathodes directly from the Bolivian brines. Of course, you need to evaluate all the aspects of this technology. You need to see whether this technologies affect the environment and things like that. Whether you can use recyclable kind of methods.
We do not disagree with the idea of using lithium and producing lithium. The problem is how you do it.
There's not transparency at all, so you don't really know whether these numbers and information are correct.
Amamos nuestra tierra, vivimos acá, nuestros hijos, nietos van a seguir viviendo acá, entonces nos interesa, solo que no estamos haciendo mucho al respecto. No tenemos mucha conciencia medioambiental, somos gente que cree que están haciendo bien, o sea que en ningún momento pensamos de que nos pueden estar haciendo daño. ¿Sí? Tenemos fe en que están actuando bien, tanto en el proyecto de litio, tanto en la minería también.
The judicial power in the country is so aligned to the government, right? I think that's one of the big weaknesses of the state. So a lot of people who are being persecuted politically or legally because of corruption tend to be people more aligned with the opposition. In the past, the government would turn a blind eye, not just this government, previous governments too. Last year, 19 mayors across the country got destituted or they got convicted of some irregularity, and of those, 9 were mayors aligned with the government, belonging to the MAS, and 10 of them were opposition mayors. It's something.
Y su deber de este Estado, de Bolivia, es cumplir con la propia Constitución, llevar salud, educación, pero no hacerlo con chantaje.
Se hace todo bajo una presión. Cuando los maestros quieren algo, hacen huelga. Si los colectiveros quieren más plata para el colectivo, hacen huelga.
Anyone who has a public voice will start putting pressure on them to honor these commitments.
My perception is that we need changes in the law, but we need more explicit and clear objectives behind the laws. The most complicated things are linked with the capacity of the institutions to enforce the law.
We know that there are a lot of research needs to be done in terms of the environmental impact. A proper environmental assessment should be done by a team of professionals.
Environmental assessments and the process should be public.
There is concern about the fact that the actual architecture of distribution of fiscal public resources between national, departmental, municipal governments could be much improved.
I feel the only way to have a sustainable development in a country is having the right information, the right participation, and the openness coming from the government to be under the scrutiny of the society. In general, that's democracy.
I do think in any developing country, there's always what I can call kind of the baseline. Baseline, of course, the level of poverty that you're working with, the baseline in education, and also kind of the values, which is quite a new one.
Yo era niño y salí con una de mis tías hacia el campo. Les manifestaré de que la tola da un fruto que se llama la ancañoca o la sicha también. Entonces hemos cavado con mi tía el fruto. Hemos sacado el fruto y yo, niño, me estaba yendo sin enterrar lo que había cavado. Mi tía me dijo, a la madre tierra hay que cuidar, me dijo. Lo que has cavado tienes que volver a enterrar. Y me hizo enterrar, sí. Entonces ahí he tenido conciencia, mi primer acercamiento a este cuidado natural de la madre tierra. Porque me dijo, porque para el año va a volver a dar fruto y si no lo entierras el viento se lo va a llevar la tierra. Esa enseñanza nos transmite generación tras generación. Cuidamos el medio ambiente.